up, you guys? Welcome to the January 20th edition of NBA 3-Ball, presented by Establish the Run. I'm your host, Mike Gallagher, getting ready to break down a very light two-game Tuesday slate. We'll talk some news as usual in 10 minutes. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up for us, please. Make sure you're subscribing. And let's talk some Indiana Pacers. If you missed the solo pod, Myles Turner has a small fracture in his right hand. He has a soft brace on his hand, and he said he was expected to kind of be back in no time. He's listed as day-to-day and strangely got the questionable tag for today against Dallas. I'm not expecting him to play. Shooting hand, I mean, it's risky business to put him out there with any sort of fracture, so we'll see what happens with that. If the brace is on a shooting hand and he can't really move it, it's kind of hard to see how it's going to be effective. So going into the assumption he might miss this game, you would assume Doug McDermott starts based on how he was used. He saw all 32 of his minutes, or most of his 32 minutes, with Malcolm Brogdon and Sabonis. They had 32 minutes together, as that rotation really just stuck like glue there. Also 1.8 minutes of Goga Bitadze next to Sabonis, which is something to watch in this matchup today because they get Willie Cauley-Stein and Kristaps. Now, I don't really think Goga is going to be a guy that you could really turn to unless you're really, really reaching. And there's enough games today where if you're streaming somebody, you could probably do better than Goga anyways. But McDermott's the guy. Also, interestingly, there was 17 minutes of overlap with TJ McConnell and Malcolm Brogdon in the last game against the Clippers. So maybe there's some ball handling chances from McConnell. Again, kind of reaching there. Mavs do go small besides their two bigs, so I could see him getting a lot of overlap. And then the Pacers defense, if they do miss Turner, they kind of funnel guys. They allow a lot of shots at the paint, which Turner defends. They defend the three really well, so it'll be a little disjointed if they don't have Myles Turner back there protecting the rim because Sabonis doesn't really protect quite as well as Turner does, obviously the shot blocking. So I think the Mavs could score a lot of points. If you're looking at this game from a DFS perspective, it should be pretty close. Again, a lot of shots, and Luka is going to have kind of a tougher matchup. We saw, digging in here in the weeds, Nick Nurse really blitzed Luka, and Nate Bjorkgren, who is basically a disciple of Nurse, should do that as well to kind of get the ball out of his hands and let other guys make plays. So, if you want to leverage against Luka and they go with Jalen Brunson again, he could be a little sneaky option who probably won't have as much. On a big slate, he may not be owned as much. We'll see how that shakes out. Moving to the Blazers, and we did get some timetables here with C.J. McCollum now out for at least 4 weeks with a hairline fracture in his foot. And then Jusuf Nurkic did indeed have surgery, so he's going to miss at least 6 weeks, usually a 6 to 8 week recovery time for his surgery. So, that's tough, and maybe C.J. misses more time. And the easy part of this, Rodney Hood is already going to start. Mentioned in 3-Ball yesterday that he had an 18-minute limit, and he shot through it to 25 minutes because Stott said he likes how Hood fits with the first unit. He likes Simons and Trent off the bench. So I think he's going to probably get chased. I'm not expecting Rodney Hood to have the same kind of performance. But this is a pretty good matchup for him, especially Dame, who I thought was really defended very well by DeJounte Murray. Despite how Dame had a lot of shots and had a pretty good stat line, I thought he could have had a lot of room to produce. But 10.3 minutes of touch time. He's at 19.5 potential assists per game over the last two against a Grizzlies defense that I don't think can cover him. So I think Dame, it could be mega smash today, and a lot of moving parts with the Grizzlies too. They'll have Xavier Tillman out there again after his impressive start. Brandon Clark's having a really good start without Valanciunas here, so I expect him to have a pretty good day with likely a smaller body on him. Moving to the Nets, and Kyrie Irving is off the injury report, so he should be out there against the revenge game here against the Cavs. And a team that's actually defending really well. They have one of the best half-court defenses in the NBA, keeping teams, I think, at around 88 offensive rating for their defense, that is. So that's really good stuff. But, yeah, you start with what's Kyrie going to do, and you'd think he plays off ball. KD said that Harden's a natural point guard. Steve Nash said it's going to take Kyrie to adapt to his new role. And he said Kyrie can play on and off the ball, and that makes a lot of sense. He is a fantastic catch-and-shoot guy, and for the last 5 seasons, he's been phenomenal. Last year, he was at 66 effective field goal percentage, which would have ranked 8th among the 150 guys with 150 attempts. He was obviously hurt last year, but year after year, he's around 65 effective field goal percentage, which puts him in pretty much top 10 percentile. This guy can really shoot it, so I think he's going to adapt really well. Obviously, there's a little bit of a hit here for Harden and KD. I think they're both going to be really good. Crazy stat on KD. His season low on true shooting in a game is 58. That's his worst game is over a percentage point higher than the league average. So like this guy's worst is still better than average in the NBA, averaging career high 67. I mean he's so good. Like honestly, you can't take shots away from Kevin Durant. He's that good. So I think Durant's gonna tail off a little bit, but I think he's gonna flirt with 30 points still, just because again he's too good. Like if you're a coach, you have to figure out how to get him shots. If it takes shots away from other guys, sure, but I think KD is still gonna crush. The 76ers and Celtics face off, and they're going to get some bodies back. Jason Tatum won't play. He may be back on Friday, but the Sixers should get Seth Curry back. Joel Embiid, who didn't travel on the 2-game trip, should be starting. We'll keep an eye on his minutes. We know that Doc Rivers said he's, quote, comfortable with 33 or 34. Maybe that comes down a little bit. And then Shake Milton. Doc Rivers loves Shake Milton. He said he told Shake not to let himself hold back and to, quote, keep his foot on the gas every game. So he likes him as almost like the Lou Williams role from his Clipper days. So I think Shake's still going to have some value. He could cut to Danny Green. Obviously, Tyrese Maxey, as great as he was, he'll take a little bit of a hit. Seth Curry may be limited after missing some time with coronavirus. But yeah, this team should start to get rolling again after missing so many guys. And just quickly on Boston, Kemba Walker, Brad Stevens really talked him up. He said he wants him still to use possessions. Still going to have a minutes limit. Again, if you haven't paid attention to 3-ball, how dare you? But second of all, I think it's going to be a really long, drawn-out plan on Kemba's minutes. Again, Brad Stevens has said this is going to be, they have time on their side here. So they have basically a drawn-out plan. So going from a 20-minute cap to he'll probably be like 22, 24, maybe even more. Won't play back-to-backs for probably a couple weeks here. But yeah, it's great to see him back, and what should be a tough matchup for them. The Sixers can play really good defense with Ben and Embiid on the floor. Moving to the very light basketball action with the Thunder drop one to the Nuggets in Denver, to be expected. Lu Dort, man, he has just continued to drive and use his body on offense, and he's shooting the ball significantly better from three. They said really coming into the offseason and this season, they want to get him going more offensively, and they obviously need it. So I'm kind of buying what Lu Dort's been doing. Isaiah Roby has really done well. This is a good matchup for him. The Nuggets give up a lot of center shots at the rim, so he took advantage with could have been a better line, but real active, really switchable. He fits with what they want to do, and when Al Horford comes back, I still think Roby's going to have a role. So deep leagues and streaming, he's a guy that you should be keeping an eye on. Darius Bazley got a shot going a little bit. He's still really struggling on catch and shoot, and he's getting good looks. They're just not falling yet, so I still need to come around. Still blocking shots here and there. Obviously, no rebounds is a little bit discouraging, but I still believe in Bazley. Shea was on pace for a triple-double early, but this game just kind of got away from them. To the Nuggets, Joker was going to smash. This is the easiest Joker smash spot, almost underwhelming, because the Thunder are just as bad or worse. They're one of the worst interior defenses in the league, so the team is bound to have a big night. Will Barton got off to a great start, looked fine. Gary Harris has been kind of hit or miss. Nice to see him finally hit shots. He's really struggled on the big threes. Monte Morris, again, this guy doesn't make mistakes. He plays so well. Michael Porter Jr. is getting close. He should be back on Friday, so we'll see. This starting lineup has been great. It's been one of the best lineups in the NBA. It hasn't been bad on defense like the other lineup was, so we'll see what Mike Malone could do. He did say he's still their starting small forward, but maybe he mixes up a little bit. Obviously, you shouldn't be concerned about MPJ from what he was doing before, but certainly he has some decisions to figure out with how this rotation works. To the Pelicans, dropped this one in Utah. Zion took advantage of a great matchup. Utah, as big as Rudy Gobert is, they played pretty small around him, so he was destined to have a big game and came through with 32 points. This dude's just such a beast. Meanwhile, Lonzo Ball returned, had a minutes cap on him. He was going about 6-minute stints, got pulled with about 4 minutes left in the game, so may have been, it wasn't really a close game, so he may have got to 26-ish, 27-ish with the minutes cap. We know the Pelicans, with David Griffin and everything, they are very specific in how they get guys back from injury, especially when Lonzo, with his knee history a couple years ago, he may still have some minutes limits, but honestly, he's looked terrible. Especially lately. Maybe it was because of the knees, but I wouldn't really feel great about Lonzo. Maybe Nickeil Alexander-Walker could cut into him a little bit. A, to preserve him, and B, to maybe see if Nickeil Alexander-Walker can grow, especially with the Pelicans off to a slow start now at 5-8. Utah gets the Iron Man Joe Ingles back, looked great, firing 47 threes, really had everything going that they want to do with driving, getting in the paint, kicking out threes. This rotation should be pretty solid as Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley off game today offensively, but those two are clicking. That's going to do it. You guys take care. Catch you tomorrow.